How many times have you told yourself, this is it, I'm gonna sit down and do the work to achieve my goals and get the freedom and success I've always dreamed of? So, you sit at your desk, laptop open, working on your life project, only to realize after 42 phone checks and 12 YouTube videos, you're still sitting there. No progress made. No matter how hard you tried, it just seems impossible to focus. Well, that's a sign that your brain is fucked. The reality is, everybody wants more in life. Most people want to get in shape, but they won't. Most people want to be rich and famous, but they won't. The reason why most people will not achieve their goals is because their brains are overloaded. Remember when watching SpongeBob was the most stimulating thing in your day? Now we're drowning in TikTok dances and Minecraft parkour. Yeah, I miss the old school. Parkour! However, there's a solution to help you focus and do something meaningful with your life. Unfortunately, most people won't do it. And I know what you've heard from all these influencers and online entrepreneurs for years. All you need to do is hustle more. So you did. Rise and grind from 4 a.m. to midnight, jam-packed calendar, one task after another, and you feel like shit. But of course, it is your fault you don't succeed. You need to have more dedication to change your mindset or whatever other BS they threw at you. They are wrong. You're just distracted. Our brains love novelty, and boys, do we have novelty? Endless cat videos, so much Candy Crush that my fingers are now Olympic athletes, and millions of idiots dancing on TikTok every single day. It's too much for our brains to resist. We need to be bored. We can all agree that having focus is vital to building anything meaningful in life. Focus, as you know, is the ability to dedicate all your attention to one particular thing for hours, days, and weeks until you die. Okay, maybe I went a little over, but you got the point. And if your brain is fucked in this never-ending loop of searching for the easiest distraction available, how do you expect to focus? We think we don't have enough time, but in reality, we just lack the ability to concentrate on one single thing. We are all losing this ability. We are all distracted. We are addicts. For Christ's sake, taking a shit without your phone is almost a crime nowadays. Be honest, how many times have you checked your phone during this video alone? When you do stuff like that, you're avoiding boredom at all costs and overstimulating your brain to the point your brain thinks it can only work with distractions. The harsh truth is the results you want come from the hard things you don't want to do. And to learn how to enjoy these hard things, we need to understand what's happening inside our brains. There are 3 neural networks that are vital to understanding how can boredom lead us to outwork everyone, unfuck our brains, and achieve our dreams. The first one is the executive control network, mainly composed of areas on the prefrontal cortex. It is active when you have to control and execute your thoughts. Let's say you're thirsty, you grab a cup of water and drink it. It's this network that is active. It's also included in attention control and problem solving. Then there's the default mode network. It's more active when you're not doing or thinking anything. At the moment of mind wandering and daydreaming, when we're focused inward, ignore all external stimuli. It's at these moments that we process all the information we consume and we start to connect them, creating new ideas. And that's why random thoughts pop into your head when you are almost falling asleep, taking a shower, or going for a walk. And lastly, there's the salience network, which is used to evaluate the potential outcomes of your behavior. It works closely with the executive control network. On one side of the balance, there's the default mode network that makes you focus more inside, and the other 2 networks make you evaluate and execute, focusing more on the outside. Typically, these networks tend to alternate, turning on and off during the day, controlling each other. It's a fine mixture that makes us who we are. However, there's a problem. We watch Netflix during lunch. We listen to music while we study. Working out? Sure, not without my podcast. This constant flow of new information never gives time for our brains to stop. So the default mode network will not be active so often, and without it, you will lack new ideas. Your thoughts feel scattered. You consume a lot, but retain almost nothing, and you lose your creativity. The way to outwork everyone and achieve your dreams is to produce more value than everybody else in the same period. And you do that by being more creative. Creative people have an increased ability to activate these 3 neural networks at the same time, and that is literally being an outlier. If in a room with 100 people, 95 make the natural balance of these networks, they will find the same solutions to a problem. However, if 5 people activate these 3 networks at the same time, the tendency is for these people to find different solutions for the same problem. That's why creativity is a high-value skill and why you need to give your brain some alone time, for Christ's sake, to focus on your thoughts, reflect on your life, the content you consume, and the experience you've been through. Time for the default mode network to do its magic. But how? How do you do that? You just need to be bored. Great ideas often arise from the depths of boredom. It's when we are forced to confront our present situation and are inspired to explore new possibilities. But if boredom is so great and so amazing, why it's so hard to be bored? To answer this question, social psychologist Timothy Wilson conducted a study by placing volunteers in a room with nothing but a button. If pressed, they would receive an electric shock. And after only 15 minutes of sitting in an empty room alone, 67% of the males and 25% of the females chose to willingly electrocute themselves over doing nothing, with some participants deciding to press the button multiple times. But why? Why would people rather inflict pain on themselves than being bored? Because boredom is a motivational factor for doing things. Imagine you locked yourself in a room with nothing but work, not one single distraction. You will find yourself choosing to do work most of the time because sitting down doing nothing is uncomfortable and borderline painful. You will also find the work far more enjoyable than it would have been if you had other options like mindless scrolling Instagram. Boredom can be utilized as a tool to make us more productive. And that is the trick, ladies and gentlemen. Our brains just want the most stimulating thing available. If it's a book, we read it. If it's a phone, we'll use it. If it's an idiot dancing to a Lady Gaga song wearing tiny shorts, we watch it. However, to achieve our goals, we must say no to the endless distractions and say yes to the more boring tasks. Work is not going to change. Reading and studying is not going to change. What can change is your life around it. And there's a simple way you can do that, because if you work with a bald idiot like me, it will work on you too. And no, I'm not gonna say gamify your job, plant a fucking tree in a stupid app or some other BS. Making your work more stimulating is not what you should be doing. The important thing is, fun is relative. Anything can be made fun or boring. It just depends on what other things you're doing in your life. So, make a fun hierarchy of your habits. Fun stuff you do at the top, like eating junk food, playing video games, scrolling social media, listening to podcasts, watching Netflix, and the boring stuff at the bottom, like working out, reading, following a diet, studying. You cross out the fun stuff until the habits you want to build in your life are the most fun stuff in your routine. And the magic is, with time, your brain will reprogram and lower the baseline of enjoyment, and suddenly you will have the same amount of fun doing the habits you considered boring before. Plus, you get the bonus of fulfillment and progress, but who cares about that? And look, I'm not crazy. I'm not saying do not use Instagram ever again. However, when you're going to do something hard, something that will put you one step closer to achieving your dreams, something that requires focus, you must not allow yourself to do stimulating things. This is not a trick. You're not obligated to do your work, but you cannot do anything else but work. Either you will read, work, write, study, or whatever it is you want to do, or you will look at the wall and do nothing for that amount of time you plan it to do the hard thing. As James Clear stated, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. To our fucking brain is something like you never rise to the level of your goals, you fall to whatever is the most stimulating thing around. I'm completely sure this system will make boredom impulsionate you to do deep work. As Cal Newport defines, deep work is focused, uninterrupted, undistracted work on a task that pushes your cognitive abilities to their limit. What worked for me was to allocate certain hours of the day to dedicate to only deep work. I plan what I want to achieve and make sure I have everything that I need, like a pen, paper, water, whatever it is. Then I set the timer and do what has to be done. And if I don't feel like it, I just stare at the wall until I do. The ability to focus, be creative, and perform deep work is becoming increasingly more valuable in the 21st century. So, if you cultivate them, you will thrive. But these skills are learned only when we dive deep into the sea of our minds. Embrace boredom, lower your stimulation baseline, and your life will transform. Make your hierarchy of fun list right now. Cross out all the stimulating things that are above the things you want to make a priority. This is how you unfuck your brain and outwork everyone by being bored. It's not about working more hours. It's about producing more value in the time you have. And look, if you can find joy in a meaningful life, doing the dishes, studying or reading, you might not turn yourself into the next Dalai Lama, let's be real. But at least you'll become someone who doesn't need a black mirror to feel alive.